Hey guys, Jay here and welcome back to the channel. So don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, hit the notifications bell to stay informed with all of the content we produce here. So I've been going over the TFL space, and when I say I've gone over it, I think I've listened to it probably about 20 times now. I've been going through breaking things down because what I think they've done is really told us the story backwards, and they've moved things around in order to create what I believe from my perspective to be a kind of cloak and dagger situation where they're throwing down smoke and they're moving around. But the reality of this is they seem to me that what is in their best interest now is to ensure that they are playing ball with the courts. And this realistically means that everything from this point onwards, they have zero control over anything. They literally have no control, but they're still acting like they have control. Now, one of the very interesting things throughout this is some of the different discrepancies. And like I said, the way that they've ordered this thing out. So what I've done is I've gone through and I've clipped some things. I've got some points to bring forward, and I've put them together. But what I want everybody to understand is I'm not trying to take anything out of context here. From my point of view, I haven't taken anything out of context, but the full videos are available for you. There is the longer version with the TFL statement and the Q&A, and I'm uploading just the TFL statement today for those of the people that are not interested in hearing the Q&A and just want that very simple 10-minute update from TFL moving forward. Now, before we get into this, what I want to do is reach out to the Luna community. And what I want you to know is I'm on your side. What I want you to know is that you shouldn't be used as a scapegoat. You shouldn't be put in this position, and you shouldn't have been put in this position to begin with. And you've trusted TFL for so long, but it's very, very clear they have no control over this situation. And more importantly, they've waived rights to things. There's also more legal issues going on, and there's a lot more to this than they're giving off. And I really think this is why they deleted the space, and they didn't think there would be someone there who'd by chance be recording it just because of the situation surrounding TFL at the moment. And it was a real kind of stealth space, if you ask me. So let's take a listen to this first clip.
Well, yeah, look, there's no, like, TFL is dead. Like, that's the point. And because we lost the trial, right? And so TFL is being shut down, completely wound down. So no one is going to run TFL. Like, by the end of the year, TFL won't exist. What needs to happen now is Terra, the ecosystem, has to try to find another team. If it wants to continue to survive, it has to try to find another team who can maintain it and build it, right?
So these are really interesting points. So what Chris is saying is that the whole situation that surrounds TFL currently is not good, and they're done, dusted, and more or less they have no control over the situation. So let's move on to this next clip, which I think is really important and really relevant to anybody who wants to take over the ball and try lead Luna in the right direction. Because like I said, you need a central authority, and that central authority is going to be responsible for the chain moving forward.
The Singapore lawsuit.
That is actually up to, I think the lawsuit's still going. And so if the lawsuit isn't resolved while TFL's in existence, then the lawsuit would be taken over by the surviving trust. So what will happen is some surviving entity of like administrators and attorneys, like not an operating company, but just kind of like a legal holding company, kind of similar to what happened with FTX and some of these other companies that have gone insolvent, and they'll run that process out. So what they decide to do will be up to them, I think, because I don't think it's going to be resolved before TFL shuts down. I don't have any inside information. I just know, like, if it goes to trial.
So as we can hear from Chris there's still a lot of legal issues going on in Singapore. It's not solved, and Chris states he doesn't think it will be solved within TFL's time of serving, which is going to be around 4 to 5 months, I think, at most, according to documents and everything like that. So what's more important here is the next clip, and all of these clips are very relevant. And like I said, I've tried not to take anything out of context, but more importantly, I'm providing you all of the context at the end of the video. So do go and check this out if you haven't listened to the full 10-minute clip or the full 1 hour clip.
It would have been just worth it to save in the lawyer fees and just say, hey, SEC, take where the fuck you want. You know, I mean, I'm not, it was, and there was no appeal. Like, why not even fucking try to appeal this, right? Like, at least try to fight. Like, why not at least try to save a community? Like this torched the community for the most part. We'll build back, but this burned a lot of us.
Well, what do you think? What do you think would have happened if we hadn't gone to trial? Are you saying that we shouldn't have gone to trial?
Well,
we should have just quit. We should have just quit
saying,
whenever Doe got arrested.
I'm saying she got better lawyers, 100%.
I mean, dude, like, have you ever been through one of these cases before?
No.
What's like the most serious legal case?
So it's really interesting to hear Chris's response on this, but what is more important here is the fact that the Luna community, and I really support you on the fact that you're trying to ride this or die with this thing, but I really don't think you need to do that. I really don't think you need to do that. And what everybody needs to understand is that they've waived the rights to an appeal. So let's take a look at this document that was provided, and this is the final judgment put out. I provided links to this. I'll provide links to it again. So let's look at this statement here at the bottom. It is further ordered, adjudged, and decreed all parties have knowingly and voluntarily consented to waive the right, if any, to appeal from the entry of this final judgment. It is further ordered, adjudged, and decreed that this court shall retain jurisdiction of this matter for the purposes of enforcing the terms of this final judgment. So this is really interesting. They've completely waived the rights to everything moving forward. They completely accept responsibility for this, and it is done and dusted, and no one will be coming back to make any appeals moving forward. The only thing that will happen is anybody that takes over legal responsibility of TFL and the Luna blockchain are probably going to be responsible for what's currently happening in Singapore. And for those of you who have sat there and thought, oh, well, if I do take it over, they won't be able to get to me. They can get to more or less anyone if you're responsible for that business. And the reason why they couldn't get to DK and people like Daniel Shin is for the simple fact that they're not part of the company anymore. So it's really interesting. So let's take a look at this next clip. And this to me stood out like a sore thumb. It really, really stood out clear. And I think this one, like the Singapore situation, has gone under the radar. So let's have a listen.
Possible odds on an appeal. It would have felt emotionally good, right? We're going to fight. We're going to fight for years. But practically speaking, it wasn't feasible, right? And it would have been more painful. It would have, Terra, the ecosystem and the community would have just been stuck in the mud for years longer, waiting for this to get resolved. Our products would have died. Some of them might die anyway, right? But some of them are going to get to live. There's an entire team in Portugal building an amazing product that I want to see the light of day. I wanted a chance for people to offboard if they needed to. I wanted a chance for an orderly transition. And so like,
so this is really interesting. So they're developing something out in Portugal, and it's an opportunity for them to get people to offboard from Luna anyway as an ecosystem to whatever they're building currently. And Chris goes on to say he's never mentioned this anywhere before. And these are some of the things that I think is the reason why they deleted the space, because this in itself is proof that they just don't care about Terra Luna, TFL, or the ecosystem as a whole. And I think what a lot of people don't understand is, and fair play to you if you do understand this, is Chris is being paid to handle this. So it's in his best interest to keep everybody kind of latched to some kind of idea that the chain can be brought back as a community owned and community run chain. And yes, it could, but there's a lot of complications in between. This isn't a simple conversion anymore. And this is my point I keep putting forward is the LUNC blockchain is what they knew prior to the Luna blockchain. They understand the ecosystem. It's like taking a BMW engine, for example, 1.8 engine, and putting it into a 1 liter BMW model because you want more horsepower. You're going to need to do a little bit here and there. You're going to need to tweak a few things, but it's more or less going to be tech that it understands. BMW understands BMW, but if you're going to try to go, for example, from a BMW to a Tesla, you're going to have a lot of issues. You're going to need to do a lot of conversion, a lot of research, a lot of time, energy, resources, money, everything. And I just think that's time a lot of these people simply don't have. With Ethereum today, the news coming out, and I've got a video coming out on this shortly, we're definitely in the precipice of this whole thing beginning to explode, I think, because it is the most bullish news I think's out there currently, other than what's going on here in our ecosystem. Because what a lot of people on the outside don't understand is we hold the high ground in this position. And this is what I wanted to leave to the end of this video. And what I wanted to point out is the fact that they simply are not in control of this situation that's unfolding. They're really not. And the creditors are the ones that are in control. The courts are the ones that are in control. TFL are not. And it's going to be in their best interest to ensure that any funds that are there remain viable and usable for the courts and creditors to do whatever they need to do with, including the SEC. And something that's also stood out to me going through this back to back is the fact that creditors and holders are entirely different things. So I don't think this is going to be a situation where the everyday holder that was affected can be made whole from this situation. So once again, I think we're at a point where we shouldn't trust a word that comes out of TFL's mouth. Obviously, that's my own personal opinion, and I shouldn't really have this island-based attitude with this thing, but I'm really starting to, just because of how many twists and turns, smoke bombs, cloaks, and daggers. So let's take a listen to this last video here.
We'll be able to submit those claims, and so there will be notices that go out on that, but just something to keep an eye on. So, for example, I know there are people on here who want answers about the LFG funds. Just to be clear, I'm not on the board of LFG, so everything that had to do with the LFG settlement was Doe. But my understanding is the way he negotiated it, that all of the funds from LFG would go back to token holders of the original Luna. So that was what he had originally wanted to do with LFG funds anyway. And, you know, a different version of that, but a very similar version of that, I think will be happening through the bankruptcy process. So it'll just be a little more corporate and bureaucratic, but that's the idea. TFL doesn't have a ton of creditors, right? And so we didn't have big loans or anything like that. And so a lot of the assets that are left over, I think will be available for people who want to file claims against those assets. And I think what that means, it primarily would be token holders from the original Luna Terra ecosystem.
So I find this very hard to understand, but one thing I do understand in this is that they're simply just not in control of LFG, and the people that are in control of LFG and the decisions that seem to be put forward during this space is that it's going to be used, and what's left over is going to be used to make the original holders of Terra whole. And I think that's totally unfair because they did the fork to make holders whole again. We've been kicked down, pushed in the dirt. We've been at the bottom of this the whole way through. And once again, we mean nothing to these people. And it's the same with the Luna community. You mean nothing to these people from what I can tell and what I can make out from this space. And it's a very honest space. It's a very honest space with the responses that we're getting. And you can tell by Chris's attitude that he's more or less sat on a lilo in a pool, probably drinking a peach daiquiri at this point. And this is all just now damage control. And I don't think the Luna ecosystem should be the exit liquidity for people like him. People, for example, he goes on to say how important it was to keep the TFL team together. But what about the community? What about the chain? Why not sacrifice a lot of those staff members, go down to a very slimline system to get through this court case? Why not get better lawyers? Why try to fight a case that even ChatGPT, when you give it all of the information, you say, what are the odds that they would have won this case? And it's like 0 to none. And I don't really like going to ChatGPT to ask these things, but I think it's really funny. All of this stuff, right? And like I said, I'm not trying to kick Luna holders. I'm not trying to bring a bad mood to all of this. What I'm trying to do is shine a light on this so people can start to see the true character behind all of these people. The lies, the deception, the deceitfulness, the smoke, the cloaks, the daggers, all of it from top to bottom. And it can just stop now because as validators of these ecosystems, you can choose to blacklist wallets. You can choose to burn coins that are in contracts. You have a lot of control. And what TFL are going to aim to do, and this is why they're doing another space so soon, is to keep us all like, oh, they're having another space soon. Maybe we'll get some resolutions and maybe we'll get answers. Maybe they'll just keep doing these spaces until the 5-month period's over. Maybe they'll just keep us all on the hook. Maybe they'll just keep us all on the line, wanting more and completely not being actionable. And I think now is the time to be actionable. Now is the time to start getting all of the different wallets together. Shout out to the people that are doing this currently. And I think now is the time for us to act. And what is really important, what a lot of people, and I'm working on a video for it, is the wallet ecosystem situation, all of the assets that surround that, even enterprise, right? And this is the thing with merging. Merging's never going to work. But if we unite as two chains, we could probably afford those assets moving forward. But an important point in that is if there's no one that comes forward to buy those assets, then they'll likely just give them to the ecosystem and community moving forward. Who is going to buy the wallet system? Like the amount of work that would go into converting it to make it usable somewhere else would just be pointless. You'd be better off creating your own system. So I think if everybody just shuts up and we sort of just dig our heels in with this thing, they'll have no buyers for that kind of stuff and no one will come forward to buy it. So therefore they'll have to just give this worthless item back to the ecosystem that it therefore belongs to, right? Throughout time, TFL has been funded by the community and through community pool grants, right? So therefore, you as a community have paid to have that technology develop. Let me know what you think about all of this, and let me know how you're feeling about everything. We've got that space on Thursday. TFL is having another space on Friday. We'll ensure to record it. Do check out the links at the end of this video if you want full coverage and to get everything in more context so you can hear all of the ins and outs, the ups and downs, and not just these interesting clips that I've taken out to give people perspective. But like I was saying, they've definitely jumbled things around. When you hear it in this order, it's a lot more understandable with the direction that they're going in with this thing. So like I was saying at the beginning, if you enjoy our content, if you like tuning in here and you're not subscribed yet, consider subscribing, drop a like, drop all of that kind of stuff. It's really going to help us here on the channel. It's going to help other people find the channel, and it's going to help us keep pushing forward with you. Other than that, stay safe, stay humble, stay aware, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.